In this 25th anniversary year of September 11th, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation continues to honor America's heroes. Heroes like Fire Lieutenant Michael Wells, who was inspired by 9/11 to serve his community. After 14 dedicated years of service, he lost his battle with occupational cancer, leaving behind his wife, Katie, and their 3 children. Tunnel to Towers honored Lieutenant Wells by paying off the family's mortgage in recognition of his sacrifices. Donate $11 monthly and amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Go to T2T.org.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me. Taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast. Breaking news.
And at this hour, a number of locations are still saying it is too close to call on the Colorado congressional seat number 1 with a real far left candidate, a real radical, Malat Quiros. Some are calling it, but most places are saying it is still too early to call. 73% of the vote in Colorado, and it is a big test of the socialism surge. Meantime, Senator John Hickenlooper fended off a challenge from his left. This is in the Democratic primary for Senate in Colorado, but he didn't win by a big whopping amount. So that was interesting. And also on the governor's race there, the Democratic primary there in Colorado, it's primary night. State Attorney General Phil Weiser pulls up an upset against Michael Bennet, well known in the state and well known in politics for a long time. So we'll see if the socialist, as it looks like, is going to win over a 29-year lawmaker, Diane DeGette. The woman is 29. The other woman has been in Congress that long. And the other one is a barista. The other one is a seasoned politician who's quite radical in her own right, but not radical enough for the far left Democratic socialists who seem to hate so many things. And I think this just kind of encapsulates it. Many of you may know Michael Goodwin, the great New York Post columnist. He has a new column. He literally just put it out, and it calls Democrats' Destructive Agenda Has Turned Them into a Jew-Hating Cult. That's actually a pretty good description. I never thought in my lifetime I would see candidates just slamming Israel the way they are, slamming police the way they are. This is just so dangerous for America and for, I think, the Democratic Party and for all Americans who care about this country. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. Some big Supreme Court decisions. Of course, the Supreme Court upholds birthright citizenship. It was a 5-4 vote. This, I think, is so dangerous for national security. It allows people to just kind of plop in. I was watching Stephen Miller, longtime Trump advisor, saying, yeah, people could just kind of travel in, have a baby, fly out. No big deal. Don't worry about it. And now they suddenly get all the entitlements, all the privileges of being an American, and also can sneak into the country. Do you want an Iranian who happens to stay for a few hours, have a baby, then that person becomes a citizen? And 20 years from now, plans an attack against America? I don't think so. But Democrats are elated at this news because I want to have everybody who's come to this country, many of them illegally, have children here so then they can vote for them. It doesn't matter the danger to the country as long as they're votes. That's really all that matters. And I think nothing really encapsulates it more than this heated hearing today. There was a sanctuary city hearing that took place on the House side on Capitol Hill. And Congressman Mike Lawler of New York and Jamie Raskin of Maryland, Jamie Raskin famously, who was on that January 6th committee, who couldn't stop hating Trump. He definitely had Trumpitis. Well, take a listen because, boy, they went at it over the death of Sheridan Gorman. Sheridan Gorman is the Loyola college student who got shot suddenly, randomly by an illegal alien with a criminal rap sheet who never should have been in this country. And Mike Lawler represents the family, knows them well, but I say represents because they're in his district in New York. And so he was speaking out very passionately, and Jamie Raskin would have none of it. Listen to this.
So while some of my colleagues may not want to hear the truth
The same outrage you feel about Renee Good and Alex Preddy,
Mr.
you should
Chairman,
feel about
would you
Sheridan Gorman
please
and
end
Laken Riley
this-
and every Angel
end this
family in
statement?
this country.
I do feel that outrage.
You do not. Because if you did, you would not support
Do you
sanctuary
feel the
jurisdiction.
outrage about Alex
You should be
Preddy and
ashamed
Renee
of
Good?
yourself.
You should be
ashamed
You don't
of
belong
yourself,
in this committee.
Jamie.
You should get the hell
You're
out
a
of here.
disgrace.
You don't understand the
You're
rules
a
of the committee.
disgrace.
You don't understand the
You're a
Constitution.
disgrace.
Full of it.
Mr.
You're
Raskin,
an
absolutely full of
absolute
it.
disgrace
Mr. Raskin,
supporting
get a hold of
sanctuary
yourself.
Say
policies.
one word about
Get rid of
Say one
sanctuary
word about
policies.
Alex Preddy and
I
Renee
did.
Good.
I
Oh,
wrote a
really?
whole New York Times op-ed about it. You should be absolutely
then follow the
ashamed of
rules of the
yourself
committee.
for not
Committee will
opposing
be-
sanctuary policies that resulted in their daughter's death.
The committee.
And that was just the beginning. Can you imagine? It got so heated, they were like, time to break you up. Like it was like a UFC fight. That's what it was like. It reminded me of the UFC fight there in the octagon at the White House. I was like, whoa. But you could tell that Mike Lawler is just so fed up with these Democratic policies. And even the mother of Sheridan Gorman, this is Jessica Gorman, who testified. Boy, I give her so much respect, and I can't believe the courage she had to speak there before Congress. And she looked at all the Democratic members that were on the panel and said, I blame you and your policies. And she kept saying, what is wrong with you people? Why are you putting illegals ahead of Americans? Because that's what she believes happened in the case of her beautiful daughter, Sheridan Gorman, who went out to look at the Northern Lights. There she was in Chicago. She was with her friends and suddenly gets shot in the back by an illegal immigrant who surprises and startles them all. I mean, this is just horrible. Listen to a mother's cries.
Explained away, and it cannot be buried beneath a list of unrelated issues that you all paraded before us. Thanks for telling me without telling me that, you know, you're here, but you don't want to be. This is the fourth time you had angel families. Thanks for telling me you don't care. This cannot be buried under your slogans, your statistics, or excuses, and this just can't stand. So today, I bring this back to the buddy bench. I think Congress needs one. I think every governor, every mayor, every sanctuary city official and politician shifting blame and interest, hiding behind their slogans and talking points should have to all sit on one. And I challenge you all to sit down with me, take my hand, look me in the eye, and then explain to me, because I just don't understand. Explain why people here illegally matter more than your American citizens. Explain why sanctuary policies matter more than my Sheridan's life. Explain why cooperation with ICE was too much to ask for. But asking our American parents to bury our children is somehow acceptable. Ask me. I need you to tell me. I want you to imagine that little girl on the buddy bench, that innocent college freshman with a heart full of compassion and a head full of dreams that was gunned down by an illegal immigrant, I want you to imagine that was your daughter, not mine. What if she was yours? Would you even hesitate for 1 second to act, to make changes? My Sheridan spent her whole life choosing others. Today, I'm just asking this committee in our Congress and our country to choose her. She was worth protecting. She was worth saving. And she was worth your brave vote. To all of those who have supported us, who have prayed for us, who have cried with us, and to those who have had the courage to speak out and say Sheridan's name, thank you. Because every time you say her name, you give a piece of her back to us. You remind the world that Sheridan was not a talking point. She wasn't a statistic or a headline. She was our daughter. She will always be my sweet sunshine. And if the people who failed her would rather look away, then I'm asking the rest of you to look right at her. Here she is. There's she and I. Here she is. This is taken the day before she died. Say her name, tell her story, and demand better. Because my Sheridan Grace Gorman should still be alive.
And she's right. Her daughter should be alive. Random crime in the Windy City, there in Chicago, and a criminal migrant who committed multiple crimes and was roaming free. And here's a little bit more of a mother's pain. This is cut number 70. And this is her talking about just the pain that she went through losing her daughter. This is where she talks about essentially Jose Medina, an illegal immigrant from Venezuela. Take a listen.
On March 19th, Sheridan went with friends to the lakefront in Chicago because they hoped they might see the northern lights. She never saw those lights. The man accused of murdering my daughter is Jose Medina, an illegal immigrant from Venezuela who should not have even been in this country. And even after committing a crime and having an outstanding warrant, he was left on the streets of Chicago to murder my innocent American child. But this story, it's not about him. This story is about my Sheridan. It's about how failed border policies, sanctuary city laws, and twisted leaders refused to cooperate with ICE. They sent her to her grave. It's about a government and politicians that forgot their first priority. And the question before this committee is painfully simple. When did protecting our American citizens stop being your first priority? And even more important, why did protecting our American citizens stop being your first priority? I want an explanation, I need one, and I deserve one. But first I want you to know who my Sheridan was. I want you to understand what we all lost because of your mismatched priorities. My husband and I have always joked that our older daughter, Madeline, is our pride. Well, Sheridan was our joy. From the moment she was born, Sheridan was pure energy, enthusiasm, laughter, fun. She was the kind of person who made every room brighter and usually a little louder. Which is why when Sheridan was in kindergarten, I remember going to her first parent-teacher conference. I was a little nervous because while she was the sweetest little girl you could possibly imagine, she was also the chattiest. I remember sitting down across from her teacher, bracing myself and asking with bated breath, "So, how's my Sheridan?" I'll never forget when the teacher looked at me very seriously and said, "I only have one thing to say to you." Oh, my stomach dropped. Then she said, "Your Sheridan stalks the buddy bench." I remember blinking at her. "I'm sorry, what?" She said, "Your Sheridan stalks the buddy bench." I was totally confused and I asked, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? And what exactly is a buddy bench? And the teacher smiled and said, "It's a beautiful thing." She explained that they had a bench in the play yard. She said that not all kids are as outgoing and confident as your Sheridan, so the children were told that if they wanted to play or if they felt lonely, left out, shy, they could sit on that bench. And then the other children were told that if they saw someone sitting there, they should go over, talk to them, ask them to play.
And then she was the person who would always bring comfort to others. She was the one who always brought joy to others. Wow, it is gut-wrenching to hear that mother's pain.